Hi everyone, my name is Philip and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about owning a Nissan Leaf in New Zealand in the year 2021. Behind me is a 2015 Nissan Leaf with a 30 kilowatt hour battery, and we're going to take a little look around it. When considering which Nissan Leaf to get, there's two main factors you should think about. That's the battery size and the state of health of the battery, also called SOH. Nissan Leafs started at 24 kilowatt hour batteries, and then they moved on to 30 kilowatt hour batteries and have gone on to even bigger sizes from then. Since all my experiences with the 30 kilowatt hour batteries, I'll be referring to that. The state of health refers to how much of your usable battery is still left. So if you've got a state of health of 90%, that means basically 10% of your battery is no longer usable and is gone forever. I seem to be losing about 1% of the state of health of my battery per year. 1% usually has such a small impact on the range, I don't really notice the range change from year to year. Now, any decent EV dealer will be able to tell you the state of health of the battery. They generally use a little ODBD connector like this one, and it just plugs in under the dash, and you can use an app called Leaf Spy Pro, which runs on your smartphone. It connects to this via Bluetooth, and then you can just read it out on the screen. Moving inside the Leaf, one of the things you may not be used to is they have a foot brake rather for the park brake. So you press your foot on it to release it, and you press your foot on it to put it in park again, to engage the park brake, rather than having a lever to your left hand side that you might pull up and then let down again. Next, they have a simple on button just to the left of the dash, rather like the start in a conventional car, and then that causes the car to start going through its power on self-test process and turn everything on. At the moment, you can see my one's displaying a charge indicator of 89%, and I've got 134 Ks remaining at this charge level. The K indicator tends to be quite accurate. When this car is fully charged, it'll show 155 Ks of range, and it has an eco button, and if I press that, that usually adds about another 20 Ks of range to the car. Just like with a petrol car, if you knew you had like 500 Ks of petrol range, you wouldn't drive 500 Ks and then wait to fill up. That would be make you very anxious. So like while I have like 155 Ks of range normally, I probably wouldn't normally drive more than like 130 Ks before arranging to charge the car again. So I've always sort of got 20K surplus. Typically, I don't plug my car in for charging until it's sort of down to 20 or 30% of charge remaining. And if it's got more than 80%, I don't bother plugging it into the car. So my normal working week, I travel on average 52 kilometers a day. And thanks to COVID, I now work from home 1 day a week. And so I've chosen to do that on Wednesdays. So I drive Monday, Tuesday to work without plugging in the car, and then on Wednesdays I have solar power, so I charge the car all day Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday I drive the car without plugging in, and then Saturday, Sunday I charge it from the solar power again over the weekend. So generally I drive for 2 days, and then I'll charge it the next day. When I first got my car, I just used to charge it every day, but it's kind of like going to the petrol station every day. I just kind of found I just didn't really need to do that. Let's talk about charging for a little while. So a typical charging lead for a Nissan Leaf might have a 3-pin plug like you use at home, and the end goes in the car. If my car was completely empty, it would take about maybe 11 hours to charge it at home from this, like overnight. But it's pretty, like you don't drive your car till it's completely empty usually. If you drive it to its 20%, it'll take much less time. Now the next step up after that is you can get a 16 amp charger. This is just a bog standard caravan connector, or sometimes it's called a commando connector, and these let the car charge up to 16 amps. When you use one of these for my car, that takes 5 hours to charge overnight. And then you can get these combo charging units, and they come with both 16 and standard 10 amp connectors. There may be $200 or $300 more, but I'm really glad I paid the extra to get my one. It just gives me the flexibility to be able to charge, either use a standard 3-pin plug anywhere I want to go to charge, or at home I had one of these caravan sockets installed in my garage. It was $200 all up for the Sparky to come, put an extra RCD in my board, and put the jack in, and for the extra $200 for the socket, and knowing that I can basically fully recharge within 5 hours, it's quite a good comfort feeling. I know I can come home for a couple of hours and put quite a lot of charge back in the car again if I have to go out. The other kind of charger cord you'll use is Type 2, and these are used in a lot of the public car parks and public facilities. So when you go to a pay fast charger, that has a cable, but if you go to a public car park, you have to provide your own cable. These are literally just a big passive cable, and you just plug it in and away you go. So at a minimum, you need the 3-pin cable to be able to charge at home. Personally, I recommend paying the extra and getting a dual 10 amp, 16 amp one, and getting a 16 amp socket put in at home. The other option is you can get a 32 amp socket put in at home and just get this cord. But while a 16 amp socket might cost $200 to install, a 32 amp one will cost you between $1,000 and $1,500 installed. And for a Nissan Leaf, this will have very little impact on the charging speed of your car. So I had thought about it for a while, but I just don't really think it's worth the money to pay for a 32 amp socket when there's almost no impact on charging time. When I had a petrol car, I was spending about $7,800 a year in petrol and about $1,500 a year in servicing. The electric car, if I didn't have solar power, it would cost about $283 a year in power. So I've also made sure I've gone on to a night day rate, so my nighttime power is much cheaper. And then I have the Leaf set to only charge during off-peak times, and that brings the cost right down. However, because I have solar power, and because I charge the car during the days on Wednesday and then during the day on Saturday and Sunday, I pretty much can supply all my own energy for running the car now. Let's have a quick look at the charging process. I'm currently charging the car. Power's flowing into it at the rate of 8 amps. I'm currently generating 3 kilowatts of power. 2.2 is being used to supply the house and charge the car, and at the moment I've got an excess of 700-800 watts of power, which is being stored in the battery for later use. Next here comes fast chargers. Fast chargers aren't something you tend to use from day to day. They tend to be something more when you're going out of town. The most dominant provider is charge.net.nz, and they have fast chargers absolutely everywhere. When you sign up for an account, you can request an RFID tag, and these are by far the simplest. When you go to the charging machine, you just swipe it and you can start charging. You can just use your cell phone or texting to do the charging, but the thing that worries me is, like, let's say you are on a long trip and then your phone goes flat and you need to charge your car. How are you going to pay for the charging? If you've got one of these on your keyring, no problems. You can just swipe the machine, charge the car, and then you can charge your phone from the car. I'll just bring up a map of all the ChargeNet stations in New Zealand as of the moment, and as you can see, they're just all over New Zealand. There just isn't a problem. The other thing to remember as well is that every single power point in the country is a potential charging point for you if you get stuck. So there are far more charging points than there are petrol stations in New Zealand. When you're using a fast charger, the car charges fastest from 20% to 80%. So as long as you don't run the car right down, charging from 20% to 80% should take you no more than about 10 minutes. Charging from 80% to 100%, that'll probably take you another 10 minutes. So most of the time, if you don't need to charge more than 80%, you just don't. You just stop after 10 minutes. Some of the machines have an automatic stop at 80%, and then there's a button you can press to make them charge even further if you like. Most fast charging stations have had cafes and places like that pop up. So often it's you can just stop, plug in, go have a quick rest break and a quick drink if you want, and then continue on your way. You barely notice the charging time. Because it's really common to leave your car unattended while charging, I recommend getting these placard packs you can get from chargesmart.co.nz. and you just put these over your charge cord. So one of them, sometimes, like if you're decided you want to take a 15-minute break, and you might let your car charge beyond 80%, but you don't really need it. So they have this placard here that tells other people if they come along and they need to charge, they can just unplug you, because you don't really need the extra power. You're just doing it because it's convenient. And then there's another placard where if you really do need to charge, you can put it on, and it just tells other people if they come along not to unplug you, because you need all of the power that you're getting. I just realized I didn't actually show you around the car, so we'll have a quick look around the Nissan Leaf. So it's got a fairly standard interior. I think it looks quite nice. It's reasonably spacious. The back is reasonably spacious as well, and they have quite a decent size boot. It's quite a big square opening. I've been able to put some quite large boxes in, and both of the rear seats go down as well in case you need to carry a lot more cargo. Generally, I only carry the 32 amp charging cord in the car with me, and that's solely for use at public car parks where they don't supply a cord. If I'm going on a long trip, then I'll take my 10/16 amp cord as well, but otherwise I just leave that at home permanently. You found that rundown on using a Nissan Leaf in New Zealand handy. If I had my time again, I would absolutely buy the Nissan Leaf. I think my next vehicle is probably going to be a 40 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf. I think I'll just upgrade to the next model up. All right, thanks very much.